Okay.
You can turn it on.
It's on.
If she has to report, I have to
Make our coffee.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the May 2013 Suffolk County Council on Environmental Quality meeting. I'd like everybody to please look at the April 2013 minutes. I was glad to see that we got them via email. We could read them very nicely. Did everybody have a chance? Everybody's okay? Any comments?
I read them, Madam Chairperson, and I was very impressed by the level of detail that was in there. It really captured the meeting, which I think is essential. And I did not see any mistakes or anything like that. Not even a typo. But Rich is usually our guy for typos.
Any other comments about this? Anybody want to make a motion to accept them?
Motion accept.
Second. Seconded by Eva. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Gloria, I have a question,
Yes.
just a technical question. So are we doing this meeting right since we didn't have time to get it publicly announced? We have an open meetings law issue?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Everything was posted online, and it was sent to the newspapers if they have room in their paper to publish it. So everything was sent
With the
out.
time frame?
Yeah.
Really?
What is your typical time frame when you do it normally?
Usually I do it like 2 weeks before,
And so when you announced this one, it was how much ahead of time?
just like 2 days
2
before.
days. But it was on the website.
Yes, it is on the website. Yep.
Okay, but there's no constraints as far as somebody come back and say, well, you truly didn't notify them, in enough time frame, and they could come back and say the meeting isn't valid, etc.
Not that I know of.
Do you want me to get an opinion of council?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you had to do it more than a day in advance.
Having to get in here this early? Sorry, I just have to ask him. Having to get in here this early and see your smiling face? All right, go talk to Gloria.
It's the break part of your day.
Set the tone.
Okay.
Chairwoman, so can I just make a mention?
Yes, go ahead, John.
At the last meeting, and the minutes discussed this, there was a discussion about having the CEQ write a letter about the master plan for the Hubbard County Park.
Yes.
And I think in that discussion, kind of the first thing was to talk to Nick Gibbons, and since he'll be in charge of the master plan. And it took a little back and forth getting in touch with him, but we were able to get in touch with Nick. And he said basically the issue is just there's so much going on at DPW, but he did think that by CEQ writing a letter to DPW, it could be helpful in moving the plan along. So I thought staff can draft a letter for CEQ's review regarding asking DPW to proceed with the RFP for the Hubbard County Park and distribute that to the CEQ members and see if can move that along.
Can't you just do it? Do we have to okay it? Can't you just do it? Anything that would get this going.
Yeah.
No, nothing else what we've done in the past is run it by the chair and the vice chair.
Yes, just run it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just run it by
Yes.
Gloria.
Okay.
And
If I have any concerns where I'm not clear about it, Mary Ann, I will speak to you
right.
and clarify it.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad Nick.
Can I also
Yes,
be in the
Eva.
loop on Hubbard County Park since I had so much involvement with it before? I appreciate it very much, yeah.
This is just a letter to DPW to get them going on the master plan. I mean, the money is there.
But it's kind of low on the totem pole for them, and it's really not their priority. We're just trying to
Right, because
bump it up.
I worked, for several years on having input on the potential master plan, making suggestions. I had a couple of things with Stony Brook University. I did several 3-day explorations of possibilities and stuff. So that was all in a package that was delivered to the parks. And I worked. It was about almost 3 years I worked on it. So I appreciate
I'm sure they'll look at that. This is just the money that the state has given to do an environmental master plan.
Great. I'd like to be kept in the total loop of everything on that. I appreciate that very much.
John, when you have the letter drafted,
Yep.
email it to me.
Sure.
Email and Mary Ann
Yep.
and Eva. Okay?
So tell me something. DPW will bid the project, but who is going to be on the review committee for potential consultants for that?
I can't answer that for DPW.
That'd be the RFP committee.
Yeah.
People from DPW and Parks Department.
And Parks Department,
Oh, sure.
as long as Parks
Yeah.
Department will be on it.
Oh, yeah, no, we work
It's
together.
really going to be a mixed bag.
Oh, okay.
But the formality of the advertising and, you know, putting it out
Okay.
there is
Right.
Public Works does that
Okay.
for us, in a sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Sarah's here asking for
Oh, someone from the county attorney's office is going to come down in a few minutes.
Okay.
And they don't, the county attorney who I spoke with didn't think it was a problem, but they're double checking and they'll be down in person.
Okay. All right. Any correspondence? John, anything? Andy? No correspondence? Okay, I just want to remind everybody, this is a public meeting. If there's an issue on the agenda, or item on the agenda that you wish to speak of, when that item is up for discussion, you're more than welcome to give your opinion. Moving on to the Historic Trust document. Rich?
Morning. We did have the open house for the 3 vacant houses that are available right now. This is the Gatehouse on Montauk Highway in West Sayville. We had a lot of interest in that, and applications have been submitted. Also, the Isaac Mills House in St. James. We had a lot of interest in that house.
Good.
Also, it's actually an apartment within the house. So we're confident with the number of responses. We're like over a dozen for each of interest. So we're confident those 2 will get rented shortly. The Robinson Duck Farm House, we only had 3 people take a look at that, and no one's responded as of now. So that might have to be take another look at. The rent there is relatively high for the program. So that might have to go to the committee to take a look at the rent. Because we did fix the house up. It's in decent condition. So we're just expecting the rent is too high for the program.
What are the rents for those 3 properties?
For the Gatehouse, it's $875. That's like a freestanding building house that they get. And then for the apartment, it's just a small apartment within the Isaac Mills house. That's $600. And then the house at Robinson Duck Farm is $1,750. So, for Long Island and that area, there's many houses you could get for that price. So it's not probably competitive.
Yeah, on the west end, looking at apartments, that's about what the rentals go for.
True. So it's, but you're always looking at the area you're in and the amenities that you have there. Otherwise, the contracts, we're still working on different ones. The Side Coast Manor Historic Society contract has been completed by Parks and sent on to the county attorney's office for review, and others are still being worked on.
Nothing else, I think?
Well, I'd just like to mention that we had a nice event this past Sunday at Side Coast Manor, even through the rain, and I'm going to pass this around. This was the Side Coast Manor Historic Society 50th anniversary. They actually were established on the site in 1963 when Robert Gardner still owned the property personally. And this is a nice brochure highlighting the collections. And these are things, some that we knew about in the very beginning and other discoveries that we've had. Especially, we'd like to tell the story of our trunk day when we were going through the old trunks in the attic and lifted one that seemed too heavy to be empty. Finally found a skeleton key to open it and found a lot of Pelletreau silver, early silver from the late 18th century, early 19th century, which is from a Southampton silversmith that was made for the family in East Hampton, and also Tiffany silver that they would have had in their homes in New York City. So these are the kinds of things we're finding on site that even Bob Gardner didn't know about. This was in a trunk that had been shipped to the house in 1935 and stored in the attic, and he probably didn't even know it was there. So for us it's fun, and they had fun displaying it for this event and just explaining to their own organization what the collections committee has been finding and the work that they've been doing.
Are they going to display it?
we're looking to display it eventually. We need to get a secure display case. Right now, it's just in storage.
Fabulous. That is great. Very nice. Thank you, Rich.
Rich, Mary Ann and I were discussing a couple of minutes ago what we saw in the papers, and now I see in our packet, Reso 1310, authorizing concession agreements at the Vanderbilt. And just so my own mind is at ease, previously we'd had some issues with the Vanderbilt regarding cell towers. That was physical construction, things like that, and there were issues with it. The way I read it in the paper, it's basically weddings will be performed at the place, and possibly snack bars slash food facilities will be placed over there. Mary Ann pointed out to me that we do have other buildings where, for example, Coindra Hall, where weddings occur, and also there are catering facilities on board there. And I have seen on some federal facilities, federal parks and things like that, where they have, I don't remember if it's weddings, but obviously I see concession stands, etc. I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but we have to look at Vanderbilt in a certain way, not necessarily historic. As Mary Ann points out, it is not a historic trust property, but it is. We're getting a Type 2 over here. From not a historic trust side of things, but just from a historic usage. One, are you aware of this? These concession stands coming in, and two, what do you think about them?
Okay, well, first of all, Mary Ann's right in the sense it's not formally dedicated to the Suffolk County Historic Trust, but it is listed on the National Register, the whole property and the buildings.
I told him.
Okay, so it does come under our purview because of that. It does have historic status. The formality of the county dedication does need to be done, but because it's on the National Register, we need to review it as
So
a
it comes
historic
back to
property.
us not a CEQ, but a historic trust?
Well, CQ is the historic trust,
I
as
know,
we
it's
always
just
say.
formally sometimes things have to go a certain way.
So, whatever, it comes under our review as an historic site. With that said, of course, at our historic sites throughout the county, we do have some food service in the building. And at the Vanderbilt, they've had weddings that they've run for many years, not decades, in that location. And they set up a tent, and they used to be the golf course, but if you're looking at the property on the west side of the property, the west side is the main house in the lawn space there. So that's been an ongoing activity, and they've also had a snack bar set up there also for a number of years. What the issues were, I think, and I haven't discussed with them in detail, but in the past the issues were running that properly, getting the booking, and running it successfully as they could, especially the food service for the daily visitors. They were having problems running that. So without knowing all the details, I don't see any problems with this. It's definitely allowable activity at an historic
That's the words
site.
I'm looking for.
And of course, it's a great way for them to raise funds. And the weddings, again, as far as I know, are still to be done within a tent, so it's not affecting historic buildings. Where they're talking about the food service in the carriage house, we should ask questions, are they going to modify the building or the space at all? Because that's where our review would come in.
Well,
The use I don't see as a problem, but if they're going to change the building at all to accommodate this, we should know what that is.
That begs then 1310. What exactly is contained in Reso 1310?
Yes.
It's being classified right now as a Type 2, basically administrative signing contracts, I would guess, but
We could ask for that as a response, like, please explain is there any change to the historic building, or where you're installing these?
I doubt that there will be, but just knowing how the operation works, but it's trust but verified.
Right.
Is my-
But that's where our review would come in.
With the idea of food service, that implies a lot of requirements plumbing-wise. And
With
is
the
there-
catering, yes, to answer your question.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know the details, but it's the Thatch Cottage that got the contract, which is right down the road. So I'm assuming, but we would want to check, that the food will be transported onto the site. It's literally down the road on 25A there.
So there won't have to be certain types of gas things happening and certain types of
I don't know all the
disposal
answers, but I'm just saying they're right there. So just like our other, like Condor Hall was run for years where the food was transported to the site.
Okay.
You know, we only now put in a catering kitchen. So that's what I'm guessing, but that's one of the questions to ask. And otherwise, I think the snack bar was going to be set up in the planetarium building,
Yeah, that
which
makes
is,
sense.
you know, relatively new building on site where, yes, they might need some more plumbing and a health permit and all that to
Right.
install what they need to operate there.
Right.
And maybe that might be a site of a prep kitchen. A lot of times you bring the food on site and you have a prep kitchen where you put it on the plates or whatever. They might be incorporating that into the plans. I just don't know.
So the only other thing I'm going to say, I think it'd be great if we could have, even if it's a small committee, go to the place to see everything, to understand, you know, if there's something that comes before us on another level.
I hesitate in one respect. They are, as some people pointed out, an independent board that way. And doing a, quote, inspection can jump on a few toes, hang a few toes.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically, I think it's best to go through Rich, who will have better,
Yep.
he'll know what goes on over there, put it that way.
Okay.
And he can always report back.
Okay.
I just don't
All
think
right.
it's
They haven't
wise
had
to do
anything.
anything beyond that.
All right, thanks.
All right, Mr. Young, thank you for joining us.
Are we morning? Are we legal? Are we legal? Well, I can speak for most of these people. I'm not sure I can speak for you.
Larry loved it.
I know where you work.
Oh boy, here we go again.
All right, just quickly looking at Section 104 of the Public Officers Law. Deals with the meeting. Normally, the third section is public notice of the time and place for a meeting scheduled at least 1 week prior thereto shall be given to the news media and shall be conspicuously posted in one or more designated locations at least 72 hours before such meeting. That's standard. But then you can go into the public notice and time and place of every other meeting. So if you're calling it less than a week in advance, shall be given to the extent practical to the news media. So it means you just call them and notify them, send it to them. It doesn't have to be published as though it was a public, a hearing or anything like that. And shall be conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations at a reasonable time prior thereto. The public notice by this section shall not be construed to require publication as a legal notice. So you just notify the paper. It's not that you're paying for a legal notice. And with the video conferencing, we don't have to get into, but when the public body has the ability to do so, notice of the time and place of the meeting given in accordance with subdivision 1 or 2, 2 being the less than a week. This section shall also be conspicuously posted on the public body's internet website, which I understand was done, and it was timely sent to the newspapers, and it was posted in the 2 locations. So if that's done, then
We're legal.
you should be
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
Larry should be deported, but
No, it was a good point.
Is that legal? It's fairly legal.
Yes.
Section 190 Public Service Laws?
104.
104? Public Service Law?
No, public officers law.
Public
and you're
Officers.
being racist right now. It doesn't look illegal.
We're good.
Okay?
Okay, thank you very much for joining us for that.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, moving on. Next section is project review. We had a recommended unlisted action. That was all in our packets as far as the safety improvements for sidewalks in the town of Huntington. That is being postponed until next month because DPW could not make it here to present it. All right, so hang on to that for next month, everyone, please. All right. Recommendations for LADS report. And Andy and John and I quickly discussed this morning. Nobody remembers what LADS stands for. It's laid, blah, 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 blah. They're trying to find out, but it's the resolution's laid on the table because I looked at it the other week and I was like, what does it mean?
The running theory is Legislative Action and Determination Status Report.
Ah.
That's the running
Okay,
theory.
that sounds a lot more official than LADS. Okay. Ratification of recommendations for legislative resolutions laid on the table, April 23rd. Okay, those are in your packets. there anything you'd like to bring to our attention, John?
Well, all the staff recommendations are on the left side, but it didn't seem that one in particular stood out as a big secret item.
Okay.
Question is, I guess for John. In the April 23 LADS report, does that bill about Southampton Hospital and the drug health clinics appear, or is that on the May bill? I don't have the bill number.
It's actually located in both bills, both laid on the tables.
What bill number?
It is on the April 23rd. It's IR Resolution 1365.
Okay, that's just for the funding.
Yeah.
And then it's on the May 7th, laid on the table, 1428, I believe.
Yes, you're right now.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Marion.
I have a question on 1310. I'm talking to, this is the Vanderbilt, and this is April. Is it possible to give Rich time to go over there and check it out? It's probably nothing, but can he?
I was just going to add that I quickly did review the resolution for 1310, and what it describes is a concession agreement. And then I read through the concession agreement, and I didn't see anything that jumped out as not being just administrative of a new contract for a concession.
Like an existing.
Right.
Moving into an existing space.
Moving into a facility in kind.
Right.
Okay, so you don't see any physical construction.
Right. In reading through it.
Well, it's up to you to decide how you want to, move forward on it. But I do plan, just so you know, for my benefit, to call Lance and go over there and just see what space they're using, so I'm comfortable and I could report back.
Yes, that's fine. I would like that. I think all of us would like that, if you could do that, Rich.
Okay.
So you want to table a determination on 1310?
Well, that's up to you, but that's what I plan to do no matter what. But I appreciate what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
This activity is going on there now in some sort.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just whether there's any change, to it.
The question really then begs.
I feel...
If we table it, are we going to do any harm to the agreement? That's really where it goes. Is Thatch Cottage on a timetable or anything like that? You just don't know.
I don't know the specifics of this particular resolution, but it is on the LADS report, that the legislature is, going to act on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Rich, were you going to say something?
I'm just worried about the timing of it. Again, do we throw a monkey wrench into the procedures?
Marianne, were you going to
I
say
agree with Michael. I don't want to slow it down.
Yeah.
Because it seems fairly straightforward, and Rich is going to check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, he can certainly call John if you see something that
Right.
is untoward.
Yeah.
Right?
And my only thought, possibly, if they are making a change, that I would say you need to bring that forward to see too. Not that you can't do it, maybe.
Right.
But you might modify it, or it needs to be reviewed.
Yeah.
But I think, this activity, this kind of agreement is good. It's going to help them raise money there.
Yes. Okay. When do you think you might be able to get over there?
In a week or so.
Oh. So, John, Rich, if you get over there in a week or so, let John know your findings. I think we can proceed right now with it.
Because I can call Lance right away,
Yeah.
just quiz him exactly on our concerns and questions, and I can return a call, and then I probably still plan to go over there just so I know more.
Just so we have a horizon, I think the legislature meets June 6th, is it?
Okay.
So if you can have it checked out
Sure.
before then and let John know.
Yes.
And that'll be fine. We'll proceed with this right here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Eva?
On 1358 and 59, if you could just give me a little background on that. The registration requirements for pool maintenance businesses operating in Suffolk County, and then it goes. That's 58 and 59 talks about to further regulate the installation and servicing of swimming pools and spas. I guess my question has to do with spas is kind of one of those words that implies a lot of different things. So is this pertaining specifically to exterior installations of these water, structures?
That are attached to pools.
Well, I don't care if it's attached or not attached, or is this also talking to a bigger picture where there's commercial use? Is this more private? Is it both? Is it commercial? Is it interior pools and spas? Is it only exterior?
Right. I did read through both of these resolutions. In reading through them, I didn't see any kind of how I believe I remember it is that it was dealing with licensing for the contractors and what type of licensing the contractors need when they do.
That's on 58, and then it goes into further regulate the installation and servicing of swimming pools and spas. Here.
Yeah, and I did also read through that one. I don't recall the exact specifics of it, but I was careful to look to see if it involved any, dealing with construction or that type of thing. And
so this would be whether it's private or commercial. It covers the whole spectrum, I assume. And whether they're interior or exterior installations. Or does it may not even define interior or exterior. Yeah. So if it doesn't, I assume it means all. That's how I look at it.
I'm not certain about that specific aspect of the bill.
I just would like to see cover all, I guess is what I'm also saying.
Why don't you pull the reso? Can you pull it off the system?
Yes, can you?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know this is just a title and all that, and I know how the ledge writes things. And swimming pools, and sometimes you have an associated spa with it, and it's for private property. Say you have a 40-foot pool and you got a little round circular thing attached. That's the new modern way of doing it. Or, for example, is it a spa business where people come in and
yeah, it's
sit?
kind of it can be misleading inadvertently, and what is so if there was some real specific definition.
That's why we need to pull the reso.
Yeah.
So for the purposes of seeker, though.
Well, if it's
how's this on our purview?
Well, it's a type 2.
We're recommending a type 2 action. I just want to be clear on your concern on how we would look at this differently.
I'm not sure exactly how this falls under. I just don't understand the legality of this. I guess in any capacity. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Yeah, but regulation generally is a type 2 action because it's administrative. So in that sense, even if we disagree with the bill or see it's a problem, we can note that there's a problem. It's still a type 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a negative
We can
or
certainly
positive.
look into your concern and then follow up and let you know how the bill affects those various different aspects.
Okay. All right, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, every resolution we look through, and if it's an administrative action not related to the environment,
Right.
we say it's a type 2 action.
Right. Right.
We will
Okay.
follow up.
Okay.
Okay,
That's cool.
Elaine, your views?
Check the
Okay,
scope.
thanks. All right.
No spot for you.
Any other questions about
I'm okay with it.
Lad's report for April 23rd? No? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept staff recommendations for April 23rd, laid on the
Motion by
tables.
Mike. Who's seconded?
I'll second.
Eva seconded, all in favor? Motion passed.
Before we
Go ahead, Larry.
leave this, what is the status of the Foley nursing home?
All right, we're gonna
Don't go there.
Oh, we are?
Don't go there.
Yeah, that is.
You may not leave the building alive.
It's 1365.
A lot of threats on you today, Larry.
Yeah.
I see you're just repelling them instantly.
Yeah, but I've already ice picked his tires.
Yeah, on the
All 4 of them.
1357. On the
Yes.
The closing.
April 23rd, LADS report, IR 1357 is the title says authorizing sale of Foley facility, But the actual resolution, what it's doing is it's directing the Division of Real Property to determine the best way to sell the fully, look into the best, the most profitable way to sell the nursing facility. And then when they develop a plan, that plan would be brought to the legislature for a vote. So this was viewed as planning of how to sell the nursing home, but prior to any action to sell the nursing home, it would need to be approved by the legislature with a vote. So that's why it was recommended as a type 2 2127.
Administrative action,
Yes,
basically.
administrative. All right, Ron? Okay, ratification of recommendations, the LADS report from May 7th. They're all in your packets.
All right, you should like this one. A couple of cemetery expansion programs. The first one's chemicals. Design. Okay. The 1359 bill, it's talking about home improvement contractor law. That's the critical thing.
Yeah, it looked to me like the original one was beefing up the requirements for who's allowed to do it, and the second one was actually delineating and describing those requirements. So
Yeah,
we can
specialized
do
knowledge
it.
and skills which are not currently included in the home improvement contractor law, and they should be professionally certified.
So it's really administrative.
Yeah, it's
to
totally
make sure that
administrative.
they're licensed
Okay.
and they know what they're doing, basically.
Yeah, and again, the second one,
Depends on it.
second one is the licensing as a home improvement.
Right,
So
good,
basically, they're catching these people
right,
who might have been outside of the system, putting them into it,
right.
might make a few dollars off of
And also giving the public better,
Yeah,
Yeah.
better protection.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
it. Yeah.
All right, so
Those are
let's
fine.
move on to the last report from May 7th.
Thank you, Kristen.
You're welcome.
John, is there anything you want to bring to notice to all of us here?
This one, like the last one, I don't think there was one in particular from a secret standpoint that jumped out at us. All our recommendations are on the left, the left-hand side.
Yeah, I didn't see anything major that pops out that's not a type 2. I mean, yeah, there's some substantive stuff going on, closing down health centers and consolidating them, but that's outside of our purview.
I wanted to ask Richard on 1411, do you know anything about that? Is that fencing and surveying various county parks? Do you know if there's any historic properties involved with that, and is it to cut down on trespassing or whatever?
Right.
Dog runs. Dog run, yeah.
Yeah, I think the dog run one has a separate joint account.
Oh, okay.
But this is for all the parks, and yes, sometimes it could be used at historic sites, but most times this is like the chain link fencing and things that we put up
right.
to secure county
Routine
parks.
stuff, right?
Yes. And it's just a general account for all parks.
Okay.
Alrighty.
I have a question on 1391. This is amending the capital budget program and accepting and appropriating funds in connection with sewer district number 21. That's Stony Brook University sewage treatment plant. As I understand it, the plan here is that because of the total daily maximum load of nitrogen that's being put into Port Jefferson Harbor, that there is no way that the outfall can reach the criteria that's being specified. So the plan is that they're going to take a portion of the sewage from Stony Brook University and the small surrounding community and put it into, what do you call them, basins? Recharge, not recharge basins, but essentially recharge basins. And from all the locations that I've seen, the discharge eventually is going to end up in West Meadow Creek or Stony Brook Harbor. This is just a poor decision, and I think that there actually is maybe a way that the county should appeal this with the state and with the EPA and see if they can't get a waiver, because in my opinion and with some experience, all the nitrogen that is being released into Port Jefferson Harbor is in fact being utilized in Port Jefferson Harbor and not going to the exterior or the bulk of Long Island Sound. And I think this is one of these administrative situations where logic is not allowed to overcome bureaucracy. And I would really encourage the county to try to seek a waiver for this. If EPA and the county are truly interested in protecting the environment.
Larry, question. Where are these catch basins going to be going, and are they going to be, is it going to be raw sewage pumped into them?
No. It's tertiary treated sewage already.
Okay.
So the problem is that EPA said all sewage treatment plants are going to have to cut their nitrogen discharge by a certain percentage, and I forget what it was. At that time, Stony Brook University was the only tertiary treatment plant on Long Island, draining into the North Shore. And so, you know, they were stuck with a percentage. Well, given the increase in population at the university, given increase in population just in the small areas that are covered by it, they couldn't meet the criteria. So they have no choice but to consider putting the sort of recharge basins, and I think there's about 6 of them that have been tentatively selected. One is right next to the athletic fields on the campus and close to the DEC building. Another was, I'm not sure it still is, but over on BB and Gigi's farm, across from the Isaac Mills house. And
BB and Gigi were going to sell out?
I don't know what it was going to be, but that was just a site that was selected. I don't know.
Yeah, because it was open.
And then the other one was to go back to the old site where the original discharge was before the treatment plant was built at Stony Brook University.
Larry, I don't know what the formal name for this. Couldn't they beef up those recharge basins with plans to absorb some of that nitrogen and lock it up?
I suppose they could. And
would that be a solution?
Maintenance.
As a recommendation?
Well, I'm not a good enough biologist to tell you how well that would work. I just don't know. But
Dan?
It's better than just having a plain old recharge basin.
Yeah.
Right.
But Dan, the problem has been, and you notice it around a lot of the island, when you look at the recharge basins, they basically need to have a sand medium at the bottom, and when trees come in, it literally knocks out the percolation capacity. Now, that may be a good thing if there's nitrogen uptake, but at the same time, if you're talking about a fair amount of effluent coming out there, it may sit once the trees get mature.
Well, I don't think they use trees for these things. I'm really not up on this. I think they use grasses and other things. And there's certain species that can really lock up nitrogen quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I just think that from what I know about sewage, what I know about denitrification of sewage and soils and so forth, that we're going to be putting a nitrogen load into otherwise untainted waters, and that's best thing.
It has in here that seeker was completed by 2011 reso. And if seeker's completed, what's it doing up here then? That's what's not making any sense. Do they need another authorization or something?
This is modifying the budget to pay for this, which was reviewed back.
Well, I know they're also having capital budget meetings this last week, and they're having it this week also.
Yeah, this bill is for the funding of that project that CEQ reviewed.
I think I had to recuse myself when this came up, since I'm an employee of Stony Brook University. But as a citizen and as somebody that dabbles in the field of sewage, I think it's...
Swims in it too.
Dabbles, he's dabbling.
I
Fishing?
really think that I need to raise the issue to see if we can't do something that's better than what's being proposed.
Well, I don't know that we can stall this. I don't know if it's within our purview or anything, but basically this is a situation for Lola's letter to Gil Anderson, the Commissioner of DPW, and the ledge, and saying, hey, there's issues.
I would like you, as just a public citizen, and being so familiar with the Stony Brook area and the sewage problem going on there and the tertiary treatment, etc., as yourself and your background with the sewage and electrification, to write your letter to DPW and talk about these issues. And CC, I'd really like to have this from you as a public citizen. Because you recused yourself on the secret, and you're very familiar with it, and you're in that area because you work at Stony Brook.
Right.
But I want you to bring these issues up and clarify them, and discuss them, and why you feel this is the
Letter from me to Gil Anderson, or from the CEQ?
From you, as
And then CC.
Private citizen.
Yeah.
and CC us, CEQ, and CC whoever else was on, for this agreement, for these funds, this capital budget.
Okay.
And, because aren't you on the sewer little committee right now too?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But I'd like it to come from you, because I know, as you said, I remember you recusing yourself from this vote. But you're so familiar with it and have that local knowledge right on site. So please do it that way. CC all of us so we can understand the issues and read it more thoroughly. And send it to Gil, and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
Get your word out there, and we'll take it from there.
I've tried to do it through the university, and the university is just folded.
no, we don't fold so easy.
Yeah, but it's another
Okay.
reason to
We
do it
spend
just as you,
Okay.
as a public citizen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're alerting the community, you're alerting all of them
All right.
of what you feel is not good about this plan.
Great.
All right?
Yep.
Larry, as you know, as you were saying before, as a scientist, you can speak to the fact that the Fort Jefferson Harbor can handle the nitrogen load. But as Grandma would say, it wouldn't hurt to mention the thing that if they insist on going with the recharge basins, the idea of using the plants
that take up
and
nitrogen
finding the formal name for that. I'm sorry, I don't know the name that they use for that, but that might be an alternative too.
Okay.
There is a form there. I'm forgetting what it is too at the moment. It's escaping.
But
Just don't let
Yes,
it be
Mary.
Frank.
in the meantime, can we table this item, saying that we have concerns and we want to look into it?
There is no action
There-
for CEQ.
Yeah, I
No,
don't
there
think we
isn't.
can.
It
It's
just happens to
strictly,
be part of the LADS report.
yeah,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
just funds. So, but I want Larry's concerns and his deep knowledge of this local issue
Right.
to be brought to
Okay.
front, okay?
Put it this way, it's not going to get constructed all that quickly.
No,
That's not the issue.
I know, but
The
We have
issue,
time
the
to
issue
prepare.
is finding out what is the best avenue for us to express our concern.
yes, but right now I want Larry to do it as a private citizen.
Okay.
And respond and CC us, and we'll move
Start.
forward on it.
Okay.
We're starting that little ripple in the pond. where it's
Right.
gonna go, okay?
Right.
All right.
Yep.
Any other concerns on the tables for me?
I'll make a motion.
Make a motion?
Motion to accept staff recommendations.
Any seconds?
As contained in the letter.
Seconded by Eva. All in favor? Motion passed. Okay, the next thing, We had a resolution, and I'm going to ask John just to give us a quick little background on it, but it has been tabled at the request of a legislator. But it's on here, and I want you just to know about it, and he'll give you a quick recap. Not everyone is here, so if this comes up in front of us next month, he'll have to explain it again for the members who aren't here, but at least you'll understand why it's on our agenda. And to get a little background. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, we did, this resolution, this resolution was reviewed by the CEQ as one of the LADS reports, on the LADS report. And the title of it, it appeared to be a transfer within the county. But then when it was looked at in more detail, it involved the demolition of a large structure. So CEQ felt, or staff felt CEQ should take a look at it again. And it was on the agenda to consider just the LADS report, the CEQ's recommendation. But a legislator sponsoring this resolution has requested that CEQ table its secret recommendation while they work out kind of some of the details of the project.
The project should be tabled to the legislature too.
It turns out there was no phase 1 done on this property. It's over by Lake Ronkonkoma, and it's the old Bavarian Inn property. And the county took it for tax liens. And so the issue was maybe transferred into parks because it's on the shorefront of Lake Ronkonkoma. There are a number of plans out there saying that that's what should be done with it. But then it turns out no phase 1 ever got done. So we don't know what to do. I shouldn't say we. The county doesn't know what to do at this point in time. And the sponsor said, hey, we don't want to necessarily incur a liability here because we don't know what's on the property. So I believe somebody from DPW went out there, just did a quick eyeball, and they're going to do a phase 1. And maybe a phase 2, who knows?
Okay, but that's why it has been tabled
Yeah, it's
for the
tabled.
legislature. So I just want everybody to know, because it was on here, so you don't feel that, what's all this about and nobody knows. So just a little general info on that, okay? All right, any other business anybody wants to bring up?
Motion to go home?
And there's no CAC members here, so there's no CAC concerns, all right? So there's no other business? Anything? Go
I
ahead.
just have a question.
Yes.
You didn't have a quorum last week, but there wasn't a lot on the agenda this week, so was there a compelling reason why we needed a meeting?
Yes, we had to vote on the LADS.
Okay.
We had to go to the legislature.
Yeah, the health system,
Yes.
close downs and centralization. That's the big
That was
bill.
under a time limit. That was the reason why we're here.
Okay.
But thank you for coming.
Lori, I
Actually, we just love to abuse
a quick
yourself.
question too.
Yes, sir.
Richard, do you happen to know if they started working on that natural gas facility over in Yaphank? Started doing the clearing?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't think so. I was there a week ago and I hadn't seen anything.
Yeah.
That seems pretty quick. Just
Yeah, and
doing
actually,
that last
there's a
night.
resolution
I wouldn't
into
expect
the
it.
Right.
legislature approving the funding.
Yeah, it's in our packets.
Yeah. Okay, is there a motion to close the meeting?
Michael made one.
You did?
Well, I
You
want to go home.
That's
No,
different.
that's different. Okay, motion to end the meeting as
Is there
our
a
business
second?
is concluded.
Second.
Thank you, Eva, for seconding everything in this meeting today.
Wow.
All in favor?
Oi.
Motion passed. Thank you, everybody, for coming on this short notice to get here.